Ferdinand Magellan was born in February 4, 1480, and died in April 27, 1521. Ferdinand Magellan was a Portuguese explorer and Hispanic monarchy subject from 1518. He is best known for having planned and led the 1519 Spanish expedition to the East Indies, across the Pacific, to open a maritime trade route, in which he discovered the interoceanic passage, bearing thereafter his name, and achieved the first European navigation from the Atlantic to Asia. This expedition, where Magellan was killed in the Battle of Mactan, Philippines in 1521, resulted in the first circumnavigation of the Earth, when one of the expedition's two remaining ships of 5 eventually returned to Spain in 1522. Magellan became a skilled sailor and naval officer and was in service of the Portuguese crown in Asia. Antonio Pigafetta was born in 1491 and died in 1531. Antonio Pigafetta was an Italian scholar and explorer. He joined the expedition to the Spice Islands, led by explorer Ferdinand Magellan under the flag of the Emperor Charles V. And after the Magellan's death in the Philippine Islands, the subsequent voyage around the world, during the expedition, he served as Magellan's assistant and kept an accurate journal, which later assisted him in translating the Cebuano language. It is the first recorded document concerning the language.
The Spanish fleet, Armada de Molucca, consisted of 5 ships with 270 men. First ship is Trinidad, that was under the command of Magellan. Next is San Antonio under Juan de Cartagena. Concepcion ship under Gaspar de Quesada. Santiago ship under Joao Serra, and Victoria under Luis Mendoza. On October 21, they finally discovered the strait, also known as the Strait of Magellan. Only 3 ships entered the passage. Santiago had been shipwrecked and another ship deserted. After Magellan's death in Mactan, the survivors in 2 ships sailed onto the Moluccas. Only Victoria ship with the command of Elcano sailed back to Spain because one ship was unsuccessful to return across the Pacific. The circumnavigation was completed by Elcano and a crew of 18 men in Victoria, returning to Spain nearly 3 years after they left on September 6, 1522.
The goals of expedition. The goal of expedition was to find a western route, Asia to the Americas, to establish a spice trade route, alternative to the eastern route, around Africa, under the Portuguese control, pursuant to the Treaty of Tordesillas. Magellan left Spain on September 20, 1519, sailed across the Atlantic, and discovered the strait now bears his name, allowing him to pass to the southern tip of South America into the Pacific Ocean. The fleet performed the first ever crossing of the Pacific, stopping in what is today called the Philippines, where Magellan was killed and eventually reached the Moluccas, accomplishing its goals. As much the fleet crew finally returned to Spain of September 6, 1522.
The first voyage around the world is also known remarkable accurate ethnographic and geographical account of circumnavigation, and one that has earned its reputation among modern historiographers and students of the era contact between Europe and East Indies. Expertly presented and handsomely illustrated, this edition of Pigafetta's classic travelogue is sure to enlighten new readers and invigorate the imagination of the story has done since it first appeared.
Reasons of writing. Pigafetta's surviving journal was the source about Magellan's expedition. One warship of the Italian Navy, a destroyer of navigator class, was named after Pigafetta in 1931. Historical background of the primary source on September 1522. Upon reaching the port in Sanlúcar de Barrameda in the modern province of Cádiz, Pigafetta returned to the Republic of Belize. Primary source highlights of its content. He related his experiences in the report on the first voyage around the world, or in Italian, it was called Relazione del primo viaggio intorno al mondo, which was composed in Italian. Before it was published by Italian historian Giovanni Battista Ramusio in 1550 to 1559, it was distributed to European monarchs in handwritten form. The account centers the event in the Mariana Island and Philippines, although it includes several maps of other areas such as Pacific Ocean or Oceano Pacifico. The original document wasn't preserved.
Bias. We know that Antonio Pigafetta and Ferdinand Magellan are companions, so we can assume that Pigafetta was being biased to Magellan and his companions. Pigafetta was just focused on Magellan's activities, like when Magellan's having meetings with Datu in Philippines, Pigafetta didn't put the entire deliberation in his journal. The details of his journal was only focused on Magellan and his comrades. In short, Antonio Pigafetta was biased to his companions.
Understanding Philippine history reminds us of the past generations uplift their ways of living. It recalls us of what we are and how we used to be. I am Krista Irish Maybe Mocas, first year BE Ed, and history is essential.
Understanding about the Philippine history. It is a branch of knowledge that record and explain past events relating to a particular place, subject that establish the past history. My name is Ronron Aviada, BEd. History is essential.
Studying Philippine history is important because it provides us the understanding of the past and how it currently affects our everyday living. We gain knowledge about how our traditions, past norms, cultures, societies, and ideologies were built. History has a multiple aspects of discipline that will increase your cultural awareness and moral understanding of the world we live in. This is Princess Obias. History is essential.
What is the importance of understanding Philippine history? For me, it's important to understand our history because we will know our own identity, we can learn to preserve our culture, and we can correct the mistake that happened in the past. This is Marvic John Ricosana, first year BSIT. History is essential.
My understanding about Philippine history is according to the event of the past that remark in the Philippines and our ancient cultures being returned to be known by a new generation. I'm Angela Tipercalia, BSHM.
Learning about Philippine history is important because it helps us understand our past, which in turn help us understand our present. Studying history can help us gain insight into our ancient cultures, as well as cultures with which we are less familiar, increasing cross-cultural awareness and understanding.